inflammation. Kind of what causes inflammation, how to reduce inflammation. I would say the main things, I mean, obviously exercise causes inflammation, and when you get injured, you get inflammation around that joint. But some other things that cause inflammation are sugar, anything really that has sugar, corn, the omega-6, fatty acids are one of the things that brings up that inflammation. Red meat, for the most part, unfortunately, increases inflammation, but the regular red meat, beef, causes much more inflammation than the grass-fed, beef. So that's, although you're still, probably, it's kind of the better of the two choices there, the worst of the two evils. So if you really are looking to reduce inflammation, salmon is one of the best things, nice wild-caught salmon. But it's a combination of reducing things that cause inflammation and consuming things that, reduce inflammation. So, when you're actually getting ready for a competition, those last few days before the competition, I've really, learned a lot about how to reduce inflammation because it allows you to see the definition more. But I've applied that same skill to the off season because it's good for general health and it helps with your joints too. So, reducing inflammation if you can reduce your inflammation and you have control over that, it's really a powerful tool to use for getting ready for a competition, for the few days that lead up to it, as well as just throughout the off season and throughout the whole contest prep, just because it's going to help, in many ways. So to reduce inflammation, what you really want to do is avoid sugar, avoid flour, sugar and flour, processed carbohydrates, red meats. If you're going to do red meats, try to do the grass-fed. And so pretty much sugar, flour, red meat, those are the main things that cause inflammation. Staying away from those as much as possible, and then trying to eat as many anti-inflammatory foods as you can. As far as carbohydrates go, most carbohydrates are pro-inflammatory. Sweet potatoes, I found and learned to have somewhat of a reducing inflammation effect. So they help reduce inflammation where most carbohydrates are pro-inflammatory. So sweet potatoes are great for trying to reduce inflammation because you got to get your carbs from somewhere, so that's a good one to go with. Fish oil is going to be a great thing to help reduce inflammation. Not only eating wild-caught salmon, but getting your extra fish oil on top of that. Drinking green tea will help reduce inflammation. It's going to help push out excess water your body's hanging on to. It's not really dehydrating you, but it's just really helping reduce inflammation, around the joints, and it helps you see the separation of the muscles better. So green tea is great for reducing inflammation. It's one of the most powerful ones, I would say. Something quick and easy anybody can add into life is green tea to reduce inflammation. What else can reduce inflammation? Like curry powder. I think it's the cumin in it that is really anti-inflammatory, really powerful at reducing inflammation. Anything that's really antioxidant to some degree is anti-inflammatory, but preferably in its natural source. So if some packaged food says antioxidant, that's not what we're talking about. Like a wild blueberry, that's going to be, anti-inflammatory because of the antioxidants in there. So when you see real food, if you know that real food has, in its most natural state, has a lot of antioxidants, that's more than likely going to be, anti-inflammatory. So vegetables and fruits, for the most part, are anti-inflammatory. Potatoes, regular potatoes, I would cause more inflammation than a sweet potato for more than one reason. So green tea, wild-caught fish, extra fish oil, sweet potatoes, curry powder. That's really the combination. I eat just those foods. I do a lot of vegetables with fish and curry powder and green tea, and it's amazing how much more definition you can get in your body for a few days if you eat this anti-inflammatory diet, which ends up being a lot of fish and vegetables and curry powder, and you do a little bit of, grass-fed beef and a little bit of free-range eggs, but you're trying to keep those to a minimum. And, it's really, you can really push out a lot of negative inflammation and improve your definition, but it's also a good concept to apply to anybody who just wants to reduce inflammation for whatever reason. One thing I mentioned before was just with trying to relieve joint pain. So there's a little bit more of about inflammation and how to reduce inflammation and just kind of some examples.